You talk also about not parent blaming, which I think is really important.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah. Well, look.
I mean, your story right there about your mother gave you away because it was imagine the terror, the pain in her of like, the most loving thing I can do is put my child somewhere else away from me right now for its own safety.
That's exactly right.
Right.
Well, all parents, we're born with a caring instinct, like we're born with certain emotional systems in our brain. Play is one of them. Curiosity, seeking, the dopamine circuit is another one. Caring, loving is another one. We're just born with that.
Mm-hmm.
It's instinctual. All mammals are born with it.
Oh, yeah.
No mammal infant would survive without it.
Right.
So I never doubt that parents love their kids, or that there's at least an impulse in them to do so. But the love that the parent feels is not that the love what the child receives. What the child receives is the quality of the parent's presence. Are they calm? Are they attuned? Are they emotionally present? Are they preoccupied, stressed, depressed, traumatized, overworked, whatever? Any of those conditions, the child does not experience the love in its whole sense.
Right.
So even though you might know that your mother loved you, and I'm sure she did in her own way, and she did her very best, but she was not able to give you those qualities that you would really in your heart experience as love.
Yeah.
And so in this society where, as you said earlier, parents have to go to work just to put bread on the table, and where so many people are economically insecure, where there's so much stress, so much division, so much angst, so much aggression, so much suspicion. What's it like to be a parent? It's really, really difficult. And don't forget, we didn't evolve in nuclear families. We evolved in groups where kids are around nurturing adults the whole day, including their parents, but not only their parents.
Yeah.
So in today's society, parenting has become almost an impossible task. Why would I blame any parent? And I'll even say this, and I'm not trying to excuse anything, because there's no excuse. That's not the point. But if you look at parents who abuse their kids, what happened to them as kids?
They were abused.
They were abused. It's multi-generational. It's not that they grow up, it's not that they decide I'm going to abuse my kids. They just act out what happened to them.
Yeah.
So I think blame, no, responsibility is one thing, blame is another. I think blame is totally unscientific, it's cruel, and it's totally inappropriate. So as much as I point out the impact of early experience, there's absolutely no room for blaming parents. And Theo, what's really interesting to me is after I wrote my book on addiction, occasionally some strange person will come up to me and said, my child died of an overdose, and I thank you for writing the book. And I'd always find that a bit startling, because in the book I'm saying that it's childhood experience and trauma that ultimately result in the addiction. And they say, you know what, because I finally get it. I finally understand what happened. And I get it that it's multi-generational, that it's nobody's fault. There's nobody to be blamed here. The question is, in each generation, can we take responsibility so we don't pass it on to the next one? But blame, there's no room for it.
Yeah.
And Robert Sapolsky, the scientist who I quoted, he said there's just no room for blame.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, you can have discussions about responsibility and things like that, and share, hey, I think you could have been more responsible about this, or seeing something that was somebody's responsibility. But yeah.
And you can even be angry.
Right. You can be angry.
Without blaming.
Right.
Because why wouldn't you be angry?
Yeah.
When those things happen to you? So it's not a question of telling people don't be angry. But having anger and owning it is not the same as saying you did something deliberately that you shouldn't have done, and you should have known better, and you said terrible. It's so there's anger, healthy anger, necessary anger, and then there's the expectation that people take responsibility,
Yeah.
each for ourselves, and then there's blame, which is a whole other bag of monkeys.
Yeah. It's a zoo we don't need to be involved in.
No, we don't need that. And this has been studied quite extensively, how indigenous people or tribal peoples close to the land rear their kids. That's exactly how they rear their kids. Like they give their children a deep sense of acceptance. They hold them, they carry them everywhere.
Oh yeah, all the paintings you see of Native Americans, somebody's got a kid on them. They got them in the knapsack. They got them They got them.
And they tend not to hit their kids.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you never seen a movie about a Native American beating his children, I don't think.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, so what you're describing is actually how we evolved. And part of the toxicity, in my view, of our culture is we've gone so far away from our nature when it comes to how we rear children. And again, not because of lack of parental devotion, but because of so much parental stress.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I think that was it. My mom couldn't see us because she had other things she had to see first.
Yeah.
And, and not just me, but so many people. It's like, yeah, we've created a society, or our society has created a way of life where now it's like both parents work in so many cases. So,
yeah.
And that alone just feels like it just shouldn't be that way. It's like,
well, if you look at throughout evolution, through millions of years and hundreds of thousands of years of human evolution, children were always with their parents. That's how nature designed it.
Yeah.
Now, if that's not possible in today's society, at least then we have to compensate for it. But we've forgotten that children need that.
Yeah.
So now when they send them to daycares and schools, it's all about behavior and it's all about fitting in, not about accepting the child and nurturing the child innate sense of who they are. So we all end up disconnected from ourselves.
Yeah.
And then we get to a certain stage in life, we're wondering, whose life am I leading anyway?
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, and it's funny you say like fitting in. It's like, yeah, you're like your child's not fitting in because it's two puzzle pieces, or the parents,
Yeah.
or the family. And not to say it shouldn't be able to spend time with other children and be in, and that our schools are bad or anything, but it's the fact that they need to fit in there first. And then I think it's probably easier for children to fit in other places in the world.
Well, that's, but the fitting in happens naturally when you're when you're accepted.
Yeah, and your children, just look into them, pour into them what you want out of them.
Yeah,
pour into them as much as you can. And yes, kids don't know how to feel sometimes. So you have to also talk to them about their feelings.
No, you don't. They know exactly how to feel. They don't have the words for. So they know how to feel. Mm-hmm. It's our job to give them words for their feelings.
Right. It's our job to give them words for their feelings. Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you're not doing that, it's not a judgment. And I don't have any children.
Yeah.
But that's what I could have used when I was young. It was like, how do you feel? Let me help you with this.
Oh, not even how you feel. You're really angry with Daddy right now because you wanted a cookie before dinner and Daddy said no cookie. So now you're really angry, aren't you? Yeah. So it's not even, we don't have to tell them how to feel. They're feeling creatures. We have to accept their feelings.
Okay.
That doesn't mean we give them the cookie.
Yeah.
But it means that we do understand why.
Hey, I understand you want that cookie.
Yeah, right now you're really mad at Daddy. Okay, I get it.
I get it.
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean you're allowed to hate your brother, but I get that you're angry.
Yeah.
So we're not talking about permissive parenting. We're talking about authoritative parenting, not authoritarian. Authoritative, where the child is understood and held and guided, and we give them words for their feelings, but we don't ask them to suppress themselves. Mm. We may not accept certain behaviors or put limits, but we know how to do that. If the child trusts you and is looking to you, like natives, the indigenous people, like we said earlier, never hit their kids because the kids trusted the adults for guidance.
Right.
So which all comes from connection.
100%. And now we're learning so many things. We learn them like through a YouTube video or through, we learn. I mean, now most people learn about sex through pornography. It's just like, yeah. We need each other we need each other.